is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on March the 16th in the year of our Lord 2026. Okay, we're halfway through the month of March. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Okay, well, I've got a lot of good information here for you, so let me go ahead and click on my link here to Murtech on Rumble. And this is my Rumble channel, my daily news update. Okay, this is the video that we're going over tonight, episode 1859. Let me jump into this. Okay, and pause this. Let me close out the live chat, slide down here, and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Dan Bongino, Anthony Brian Logan, the Dan Bongino Show. He has a sub today. Anthony Brian Logan, Benny Johnson, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give. Jay Myers 2022 just started following my channel. Smokey 3042 just started following my channel. Clemens QWERTY just started following my channel. Greenus 122 just started following my channel. And Turn 1967 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Uncloudy and Real News DFW commented on my episode 1858. Cotton Ball commented on my episode 1858. Debbie BS commented on my extra 641A. And she also commented on extra 642B and 642C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. And if you don't mind, I have one of those little thumbs up icons right here below the video that you're watching. So if you could slide down there and click on that, that would be fantastic. Okay, let's see what's going on the Dan Bongino Show, America's Enemies, Foreign and Domestic, episode 2473. Let's check it out.
Might hurt. You're not. I have done absolutely Z. I was sitting in traffic heading up to my friend's house. I needed something to listen to. I needed something to take my attention off of the fact that there was some just absolutely awful traffic that I was sitting in. For those of you who've ever been in the car with me while there's traffic, you don't want to be in the car with me while there's traffic. I have done damage to my to my vehicle because of traffic. I actually punched the GPS screen because Google was trying to be funny. It was like, there's a slowdown ahead. There it is. There's the Tappan Zee. They say it's the Mario Cuomo Bridge. If you're not flipping off, if you're not flipping off the Mario Cuomo sign on that bridge, you're not going over that bridge the right way. But I turned on the Dan Bongino show for the first time ever on that bridge on the way up to a great Memorial Day weekend. And that was the first time I'd heard him. He was flipping out about Spygate. I said, this is unbelievable. This is my new favorite show. And that was 8 years ago. So now 8 years later, I never thought that this would be possible. Sitting where my favorite content creator, commentator, has sat before on his microphone. I'm eternally grateful for this opportunity. I'll be with you here till tomorrow. Today and tomorrow. Dan is back on Wednesday. But this is a really cool moment for me. So I appreciate obviously being given this opportunity. And I hope you guys enjoy everything that happens today. We have a good show for you prepped. So in good Dan Bongino fashion, seeing as how today is Monday, we'll start with a little weekend update. It was an incredible weekend. I'm in Tennessee now. My wife is in Tennessee as well. She's back home. She's amazing with our three cats. I'm sure they're like, what is going on? They're used to me streaming in our own house. They probably hear everything going on. I have no idea what's going on. But over the weekend on Saturday, my wife and I, again, she's always there, everything that I do. And I know sometimes the situation may not be very comfortable, but she's just incredible. She was out there with me on Saturday. We were door knocking for a local candidate running for sheriff, whose name is Kenneth Barrett. This is me speaking for myself, not for anybody else here, but Kenneth is, he's become a good friend, his family. They're an incredible group of people. And he's running for sheriff of Rutherford County, Tennessee. And the reason why we decided to get out there and pound the pavement for him, obviously, a year ago, right around this time, we were swatted. We had a false SWAT called into our home, guns drawn, the whole 9 yards. And so we bumped into Kenneth at an event in November and started, talking to him. I said, Brennan, look, he's running for sheriff. It's a very important position for us. She said, yeah, it's great. We started talking. Well, it was a great conversation that I had. And one of the things that I noticed about him was that he paid attention to everything, not just I was saying, but because I had performed that night. I did a little bit at this event called T-Bones in Politics. It was a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. We were talking before the show about if I ever got selected for jury duty, this would be a great way to get kicked off the jury. He's guilty already. You could do whatever the hell you want. He's guilty. By the way, we're going to have so much fun tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day. I've got a whole thing that's been playing through my head nonstop. Most people are like, I hear voices like in my head. It's kind of weird. Sometimes I hear Trump in my head. It's strange, but it does happen. It's just a day in the life, I guess, a couple of days in the life. But I first met this guy in November, Kenneth Barrett, very attentive to the people he was speaking to. Not just me, I was on the stage the whole 9 yards, but he was very attentive to so many people that he was talking to. And I picked up on that. It's not just the campaign for him. He's actively running to serve this community, 28 years in the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. So, that obviously exciting to see that. He's achieved many promotions and is all about leadership and accountability. The other thing that I noticed or that really caught my attention was one of the men he was with that night. When I told him that, hey, you may have heard of me, you may have heard of us. If I give you my address, you may understand a whole lot more. He said, oh, I remember that. I told him about the swatting. I remember that. He said, what I found weird was because they called in a fake 911 call, said that I murdered my family, right? And they said that I was getting ready to commit suicide by cop. And I heard the 911 call. We were able to get a copy of it. But he said the one thing that kind of stuck to him, this was a guy who was with Ken Barrett this night in November, was that there was only one call. None of my other neighbors reported hearing gunshots. So to him, that felt strange. And so I said, wow, if it wasn't for this guy who picked up on that abnormality, that anomaly, there could have been a different scenario, a different outcome there. There could have been aggressive knocking at my door. There could have been someone getting spooked. I have no idea how that would have gone. But when we spoke to when we spoke to Kenneth and we spoke to his team, and we spoke to this gentleman who basically told us that he picked up. I said, this guy surrounds himself with good people, and I think we would do well by supporting him. We met with him a few more times. We bumped into him a few more times at a few more events, and so last Saturday, Brennan and I and a whole bunch of door knockers took to some neighborhoods in Rutherford County, Tennessee, and we knocked on doors because, as Dan Bongino says, talk is cheap. It's the do that matters, right? The do matters. And I was met with a lot of comments online that, for an influencer to be out in the real world, like, this is really significant. Is not a lot of people do that. Scott Pressler and all this. It should not be like that. It should not be like that. If you truly care about the country, if you care about things that are more than just clicks and views, and get out and do some work. And by the way, this live chat, the live chat over at LFA TV, full of activists, full of people. We take calls every Friday, full of people who, they want to make a difference in their community. I get calls. We've got folks who are running for office in all different states, working on campaigns in all different states. That's how we take back the country. That's how we do this. That's how we actually make a difference. And so it kind of made me upset to hear that not a lot of people go out and do these things in the real world. And maybe we could serve as an example that, hey, you can have some fun. You can get your steps in. You could do you could do some real work and make some change in the real world. I did get a few comments that were like, oh, did anyone recognize you on your, when you're on their doorstep? Did you do Trump for a few people? Like, I did it for a few people, but nobody did recognize me. And that's okay, And that's why I think you deal with a bunch of these folks with huge followings that would never be caught dead knocking on a stranger's door, campaigning for a local candidate, right? Not because they're afraid of having a conversation or because they don't want to do a little hard work, but they're afraid of realizing this simple truth, that there is a real world out there. There is a real world out there, offline, guys, where your clicks and your views and your hot takes and the clickbait and the doomerism, I call it deli counter politics, right? There's a real world where quite literally none of that matters. I don't care if the person whose door I'm knocking on recognizes me online or not. That doesn't hurt my feelings. But for some, it would. For some, it would. How dare you? How dare you? You don't know who I am. You're not genuflecting at the views that I put up on my podcast. I don't even want to talk to you. You're just not informed. Well, that's just that. We had a great time door knocking over the weekend, and we look forward to doing that again next weekend in Rutherford County, Tennessee. So if I do knock on your door, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to talk to you. And if you see me on your Ring camera, I promise I don't bite. All right. So there it is. A little weekend update. My wife and I had so much fun up in Rutherford County, Tennessee, back in over the course of the weekend on Saturday. So it was a great time. We have a great show planned for you here. Before we do that, we'll take a very quick break. Get to a word from our friends over at American Financing. Quick question, folks. Have you looked at your credit card statement? And if you as enemies, both foreign and we get the bell. We love the bell. Let's get started. The main theme of this show, folks. America has enemies, both foreign and domestic. And that's the truth. And that's the scariest part. We're fighting this battle on so many different fronts. And I want to start here. And I know a lot of people are immediately going to start getting mad. And I don't care. Because you know what? I'm going to get the right people mad when I say this. This whole Israel derangement syndrome is not Israel derangement syndrome at all. It is turning into America derangement syndrome. Now, I want to start. Let's go 30,000 feet, okay? 30,000 feet. If you are obsessed with Israel, i.e., everything that happens to you, you're stuck in traffic, you step on a Lego, your dog crapped on the rug, Your steak came out and wasn't cooked properly. Maybe you bought a bag of expired, I don't know, from the. Apparently, that's all Israel's fault. It can't be anyone else's fault. There's no such thing as a. There's my wife in the chat saying she wished she could have been there. We miss you too. There's no such thing as a coincidence anymore. If it rains, it wasn't actually rain. The Mossad must have hijacked a fire truck and sprayed the whole neighborhood. And if you don't believe that, you're serving up a Fed slop narrative. Blah. It's just so tiring. But I have a question. I'm just asking questions, right? That's what they say. I'm just asking questions. They're not asking questions. They're making statements. Okay, that's the biggest problem. They're making statements when they ask the question, like the question, when did you stop beating your wife? Well, you're making the accusation that you at one point beat your wife. There's no good way to answer that other than just flip those people off and move on. But I'm just asking questions. How does obsessing over Israel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, how does that make you America first? Because it seems like the first thing that you want to do is talk about another country. It doesn't sound like you're America first to me. It sounds like you're America second. You're Israel last, fine, whatever. But the very first thing you do is obsess over this country all day long. It's like, let's say in an alternate universe somewhere, right, that Bibi Netanyahu, the whole nation of Israel, was like, all right, you know what? All those people online are right. We shouldn't exist. Let's just let's leave. Let's go. We'll dissolve the nation of Israel. We'll dissolve the state of Israel. We'll just go away. You guys would have nothing to do. Do you understand that? Nothing. You would have no purpose. You would just be like drifting in a sea of irrelevance, just listless, without that one country to obsess over all day long. It's literally your life's work. It is literally your whole life revolves around blaming everything on that one country.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, folks. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from the Dan Bongino show. I will add this video to my daily news wrap-up so you can see more of this. I'm following the channel. I've given him a thumbs up. Okay, I'm going to jump over here. This is Murtech.com, your daily news wrap-up. I share, he said he was from LFA TV, right here, LFA TV. I share their videos. All these videos that I share, the name of the channel is in red. So if you click on the name of the channel, if you just click on the thumbnail or the title of the video, it's going to take you straight to the video. But if you click on the name of the channel, it's going to take you to this channel. Okay, there it is, LFA TV. Now they've already got a thumbnail set up for tomorrow's broadcast. They broadcast every day. Let me go ahead and click on that. Okay, right there is Farish. Okay, Sean Farish. As he said, he's part of the LFA TV group. And I find it real interesting. I didn't realize that this had association with Dan Bongino. I guess some of these people do. Farish does, Sean Farish. So that's great. I share their information. Sometimes I raid their channel with my extras. Great stuff. Okay, with that being said, though, let's jump back over here to our main screen. Debbie BS and Susie Poll 2016 has given us a chat. Some other people could chat as well. That would be great. Okay, let's move forward here with Anthony Brian Logan. And he's Jasmine Crockett's security guard shot by Dallas PD during standoff. That sounds weird. I wonder why her security guard was shot. Well, let's see what Anthony Brian Logan has to say about that. Here we go.
So someone who was part of U.S. House Rep Jasmine Crockett's security team got himself deleted by Dallas PD after a crazy barricade and standoff situation. How did this happen? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a guy by the name of Mike King, who got himself deleted by Dallas PD after a crazy barricade and standoff situation. Now, the reason why he's newsworthy is because at one point he was part of U.S. House Rep Jasmine Crockett's security detail. As you saw in the very beginning, he's a real big guy. He was right next to Jasmine. So obviously there is a certain level of trust, a certain level of comfort with this man. However, his name was not Mike King. That was an alias. She probably knew him by that name, but that was not his name. His real name was Diamond Dash Mazar Robinson. Not Diamond with a D, Diamond with no D. D-I-A-M-O-N, no D at the end. Dash Mazar Robinson. Why did he go by Mike King? Maybe because that name, Diamond Mazar Robinson, has a criminal history, a crazy background, something that will pop up in the background check if Jasmine Crockett did win. Now, maybe she did do one on the Mike King name. I don't know how she was able to miss this crazy background, but obviously there's something there, and he was living a double life. Now, before I go any further, let's get straight to the news clip. Of course, I will link to everything in the description box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Get you now to a major story unfolding. This one involves a man who was killed by Dallas police earlier this week outside of Children's Medical Center. Sources say the man who was fatally shot by SWAT actually ran a business placing law enforcement officers in off-duty jobs, and apparently he was also part of the security detail for Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Our JD Miles tonight investigating how he apparently, using aliases, was able to become such a prominent figure in the public safety community.
Let's pause 1 minute. This is going to be a problem for Jasmine Crockett. Although she's exiting the House right now, she has aspirations for greater office. Maybe in 2028, you might see her in the presidential race. I don't really know, but she has aspirations for greater. However, when you let a guy like this in your inner circle, that's going to be a problem, potentially. Let's keep on going.
To North Texas law enforcement officers and U.S. Capitol Police, he was known as Mike King, but sources tell us that's not the name of the man shot and killed by Dallas police on Wednesday night during an investigation into his alleged double life as a suspected criminal, also working as a security officer for a local U.S. Congresswoman. These images of Mike King standing close to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett shows how trusted he was as part of her security detail while she's been in office and while on the campaign trail during her recent run for a U.S. Senate seat. Multiple law enforcement sources say King was the man shot and killed after a standoff with Dallas police SWAT officers on Wednesday night. Police say he was chased into a hospital parking garage where he barricaded himself inside a vehicle before he was forced out by tear gas and pulled a gun on officers.
That's a pretty crazy situation. You're chasing, you're on a chase. They corner you. They use tear gas to get you out, and then you go out guns blazing. That's crazy.
Sources say he was wanted for impersonating a law enforcement officer. Sources say he claimed to be one while operating a business called Off-Duty Police Services, an online platform to connect North Texas law enforcement officers with off-duty jobs. Authorities have yet to reveal King's real name, but sources also tell us King oversaw a team of security officers at several downtown Dallas hotels and at his own church. Sources say King drove a replica undercover law enforcement vehicle with license plates stolen from vehicles outside military offices. His background, which sources say includes a criminal history, raises serious questions about how he was able to oversee extra jobs for police officers as well as obtain such a high-level security position for a sitting member of Congress. Documents obtained by CBS News Texas show a person named Mike King receiving payments for security services from Crockett as recently as last year. We have contacted Congresswoman Crockett's office, and for now, they are declining to answer questions, as is the Dallas Police Department.
All right, there we go. So again, this guy, his name is Diamond Mazar Robinson. You saw in that clip right there, they say, oh, we're not going to release his name, but the name has been released. This is the same source that we just saw. See, that's the same video right there, but they updated it on yesterday evening. So look, it says on Saturday, sources identified the man as 39-year-old Diamond. I told you, look, Diamon, no D on the end, Diamond Mizar Robinson. He was publicly using the alias Mike King and had been using aliases while running a business that placed officers in off-duty jobs. Robinson was killed Wednesday night after a standoff with Dallas police. While officers, police said he fled into a hospital parking garage, et cetera, et cetera. So we got criminal history. CBS News Texas has been researching Robinson's criminal history, which includes 7 arrests for theft in Dallas, Duncanville, Irving, Dallas County, and by the Texas Department of Public Safety. All the arrests were between 2009 and 2012 and include misdemeanor and felony charges. It appears that sentences for those convictions, which he pleaded guilty to all, led only to fines no more than $2,500 and sentences of probation from 1 to 5 years, and in one case, 10 years. Well, I don't think what he's doing right now falls into the category of I've turned my life around. You're using aliases and fake names and living a double life, and you get into a standoff. They get to tear gas you, all that kind of stuff. Okay, there goes a mugshot. Now, my thing is to Jasmine Crockett. Was there a background check here? If you're going to have armed security, which I'm sure they were armed, if you're going to have those guys right next to you and you are a sitting member of Congress, how did you not find this? CBS News was able to find it. Why couldn't you find it as, again, a sitting member of Congress? Don't you have like a certain kind of ability to find these things out more than the average person? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Despite that criminal background, sources said Robinson was able to forge a new identity as Mike King, where he not only became a prominent figure as a security officer for Jasmine Crockett while in office and during her recent U.S. Senate campaign. Sources said the convicted felon was also able to run the business placing North Texas law enforcement officers in off-duty jobs through his business called Off-Duty Police Services. Some of these officers told CBS News Texas that Robinson, who they knew as Mike King, told him he was a detective with U.S. Capitol Police, which may have led to the federal investigation that resulted in the hunt for him this week. Yeah, that'll do it. You impersonating a police officer, a Capitol Police officer, and isn't that federal? I'm not really sure. But you do something like that, yeah, they're going to find you. You cannot do that. That in itself is an offense. Now, I don't know why he didn't just get locked back up, because you can go to jail, come home, and try it again. But he said, you know what? I'm going to just fight. And then he did as a result. Now, images obtained by CBS News Texas show Robinson standing close to Crockett at events and on the campaign trail during her recent run for a U.S. Senate seat. So this is recent. The last payment that they showed was 2025, but I'm not sure if that was like during her campaign or not. So he may have been with her after that particular point. I'm not really sure when their business relationship ended, or if it had ended at all until he, got himself deleted. But anyway, sources say he oversaw teams of security officers at several downtown Dallas hotels and at his church. Law enforcement sources also said that Robinson drove a replica undercover car, etc. So look, sources said Robinson was also using his law enforcement officer placement service to promote security jobs for the upcoming FIFA World Cup games and Dallas-Fort Worth for $90 an hour. Wow. Imagine that. You're able to fake like you're somebody else and start what appears to be a legitimate business, getting guys some real money in their pocket. His criminal background raises questions about how he managed extra duty jobs for police officers and secured a high-level security role for a sitting member of Congress. That's got to be something that, that's got to be a thing that has to go through the feds. And you know what? My opinion is this, as I close. My opinion is this. Once he got near Jasmine Crockett and she's trying to become a senator, like a U.S. senator, she's already in Congress right now, although her term was coming to an end and she didn't rerun because she ran for Senate and lost. But once you get to that level, anybody near her, they're going to look up with a fine-tooth comb. If not for that, he'd probably be able to do this scam just locally in Dallas. They might not examine you that closer. They might not look into your background, but the feds, they will look into every aspect of your life. They can put your face into a database. Does this match? Does that match? Fingerprints, all of that. So it was only a matter of time before he got caught, and now he's gone. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about this guy who apparently was impersonating a police officer, a U.S. Capitol police officer, got the Fed's attention, got on their radar, and they went to go find him. And then he goes, barricades himself, doesn't want to come out, gets tear gas, then he gets shot and deleted. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How you feel about Jasmine Crockett? How did she not know who this guy was? Again, you are a sitting member of Congress. You're in DC. You have all the resources available to figure out who this guy is. More than your average normie in Dallas, more than the average normie just at his house, chilling in front of the computer. You have endless resources to figure out who someone is. How did this slip through the crack? Was it done on purpose to try and throw her under the bus? The Democrats did that with James Tallarico. They wanted him to be the guy. So maybe this was part of their insurance policy. Okay, let's say she wins the actual Senate primary. Boom, throw that out there. Have him on the front page of the news. Jasmine Crockett, security detail, identity theft. Maybe that was a play. I don't really know. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
All righty. There you have it, folks. I thought this was good information that I wanted to share with you. And I like the delivery of Anthony Brian Logan. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you the video that I just shared with you. It comes from Anthony Brian Logan. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what's next. Looks like we have some information coming up here from Benny Johnson. Joe Rogan fear UFC at White House could be attacked. Huh, okay. Well, let's check it out and see what Benny has to say. Uh-oh. Another one of his memes.
What's up, guys? Benny. The White House is one of the most secure places on Earth, but it still can be a dangerous place. I went to the White House in 2020 and watched Rand Paul get assaulted and nearly killed outside of the White House. It's all on tape. It's crazy. There were like mobs that were gathered outside. It was Trump's RNC convention speech, right? They did it live at the White House. Anyway, there was a car that smashed into the White House gate, for instance, earlier this week. Obviously, there's no such thing as 100% security in these moments. And, well, it's a scary time. Islamists everywhere. Drone swarms, missing drones inside of army bases. You know, you got to be careful, as they say. But the UFC has plowed ahead, the fighters they are, announcing that they will be hosting the Freedom 250 White House card, and it's going to be lit. Lots of great fighters and what is set to be a rowdy night at the White House. I've already asked for a ticket. I don't know if I'm going to get one, but this is one I want to go see. You can see what it's going to look like. I mean, this is just going to be unbelievable. Look at that. They're going to build a massive stadium there, the Octagon. It's going to be wild. I mean, that's just going to be epic, dude. Look at that. Anyway, here's some of the renderings from UFC. Dana White reveals a sneak peek. You'll be able to watch it live. Oh, you'll be able to see the weigh-ins here at the Lincoln Memorial. How cool is that? You'll be able to see what what the fighters see. Look at that giant structure they're building. Anyway, again, I will openly confess to you that I have already asked for tickets. I have no idea if we can do that. I'm a big fan of Bo Nickel. I know that dude. It's awesome. This dude's awesome. Anyway, what will happen next? Well, Joe Rogan, who of course calls every single UFC fight, is concerned about terrorism and everyone's safety at this event. I mean, boy, it would be quite a target, right? Like, I guess, not to be macabre or anything, but it is the modern era. You do got to be a realist here. And there have been quite a few terrorist attacks. And so I'm sure security will be at an absolute maximum Joe Rogan has issued a terrifying warning ahead of his summer's UFC White House event, revealing concerns that it will be targeted by Iran. June 14th, U.S. President Donald Trump will watch Dana White promotion touches down the White House South Lawn for the historic UFC 250. However, like many fans, Rogan has expressed his concerns over the safety regulations for the event, given the recent conflicts. On Thursday, FBI alerted California that law enforcement was potentially expecting a drone strike. With this all considered, Rogan, who regularly commentates at UFC events, says he will likely be in the booth on fight night, spoke out on the issue on his podcast. Rogan stated, "It sounds crazy. We're going to have very high security, high stress, and weird to have a fight in the White House in the middle of an effing war." Here's Rogan.
Yeah.
Are you excited for the White House card? That looks really good.
Yes. I'm excited. It sounds crazy. I know it's going to be very high security and high stress and weird to have a fight at the White House in the middle of a war. But I would hope the war will be sorted out by June. But quite honestly, I'm not confident that that's going to be the case.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that would be weird.
Yeah.
Having this very high profile event where everybody's in one place at one time right there.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not excited to be
Well,
there?
that seems like
Yeah.
it seems like you're asking for.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that at all.
How could you not think of that?
Well, because
Literally
I'm
at
not
the
going to
White
be
House.
there. You're the one that has to think of it. I was just like, this is a great lineup. I look
Yeah.
forward to the fights.
Yeah.
Because
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if there's going to be a war going on at that point. Trump often is somebody who fights these wars so quickly that, you don't even know if you're in favor or against them by the time the war is actually over. That's how it went down, right, in Mexico and in Venezuela and probably in Cuba coming up. But Iran seems like a little bit of a different bear. We'll see. Dana White reveals the UFC is giving away 85,000 tickets. The White House event for free.
The way that the White House is laid out, you got the White House, you got the South Lawn, and then there's a road, and then the ellipse is a park that's right there. We're going to be ticketing 85,000 people in the ellipse, and the tickets are free. And we'll announce.
Kind of cool. Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I'll go after all. Joe Rogan concerned about UFC at the White House. It's going to be high security, high stress. It's going to be weird. That's Joe Rogan. Dana White revealed the UFC White House card. We'll have 6 fighters. He's looking to add more. The word is your surprise edition may be Conor McGregor. Dana White says that's interesting. What could go wrong? Right? Announce that you're running for president of Ireland. There at the White House card. Brother, what are the logistics of this event? 85,000 people in the White House at UFC during a war? Why not? They've done it before. Obviously, President Trump walks into these UFC events. And there are tens of thousands in the arenas. But, the arenas are enclosed. They're always worried about President Trump. Snipers, drones, things like that. Trump having the time of his life, though, at UFC. Imagine being 78 with 5 children, having a UFC champion belt, being loved by everyone. The left can't stand this. This was Donald Trump. I think before, it's June 8th, 2025. Okay. This would be a couple of months into the second administration. UFC champion Kevin Holland immediately runs over, shakes hands with President Trump. Expect to see a lot of this. It'll be a night for content, that is for certain. Erupts. Massive cheers for Donald Trump. That's how it always goes. I mean, it's loud. We've heard it before. It's loud. It's rowdy. It's fun. And, we're looking forward to, at the very least, watching it. Maybe we'll be there. We'll see. Yes, you just got to be careful these days. President Trump says that there are sleeper cells in the United States, Iranian sleeper cells, and they're watching them. Maybe arrest them before the UFC card. Because I want to go. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Yeah.
Alrighty. There you have it, folks. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you this video does come from Benny Johnson. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. I just thought that was interesting to share with you. I wasn't aware of that UFC fight on the White House lawn. Man, he comes up with some stuff, doesn't he? Okay, let's jump back here. And we got Wendy Bell. And offer they can't refuse. All right, she didn't have a Sunday show this week, so we haven't heard from her since Friday. So let's jump right on this. See what she has to say.
Trump is doing, he's told us he was going to do. He told us 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 25 years ago. How many of you have seen that video making the circuit from like the 1990s or whenever it was, where then private citizen, though very successful New York businessman and real estate tycoon Donald Trump was talking about a free Cuba? Right? And now all these wheels are coming in. And people here at home, I'm hearing some people say, don't forget about us. And I want to say to these people, stop. I think we need to take a step back and we need to give this guy some grace. This one individual literally is standing in the gap between everything that is wrong, everything that is evil, everything that makes no sense, and you and I. He stands there between us and them, okay? And he knows what's at stake. Do you think that Nicolas Maduro, who in dazzling fashion, without the loss of a single United States service member, was captured and brought to the United States and is in a prison cell of some nature, do you think that Nicolas Maduro is not talking his brains out? Do you think President Trump probably offered him a pretty sweetheart deal? Here's what I'm going to say, Nick. All right? You and I both know this drug trade. It runs through Washington, D.C. We know you're all about, you've infiltrated every aspect of our country. We need names. I want names. I want data. I want it written down, and you better get busy because I'm not going to be generous for too long. Do you think that the president of Cuba is not paying attention to that right now? Do you think Putin and Xi and all these others, Zelensky, aren't listening and paying attention? Peace through strength, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump has talked about this since 2018. It was September of 2018 where he started talking about peace through strength. How do you ensure peace? By being the biggest badass on the block, by having the best military tricks and toys, by having the finest trained and completely focused lethal fighting apparatus, and to give everybody on planet Earth fair notice. This is what we're doing. And he did that repeatedly at the United Nations. Donald Trump, President Trump in his first term, stood before the world and he said, look, you all represent your own cultures, your own tradition, your own history. There is no other place on earth like your country. I'm not wanting to take your country. I believe we can all work together. I believe that we could have peace. I believe that each of us has so much to offer, and there is abundant prosperity for all of us. But there is a core group of people that don't want that. Call them the deep state, call them the swamp, call them the uniparty, call them the axis of evil. I don't care. The temple of doom. I don't care. But these people walk among us. They sold us out long ago. Many of them still put the little flag pin on their lapels to make you believe that they are crusading for what you are fighting for. I want peace. I want peace from illness. I want peace from terror. I want peace from uncertainty. And that president in 2018 put peace through strength into his agenda. His agenda wasn't Project 2025. His agenda was Agenda 47, and it had 20 points. Eliminating terror, digging out the axis, the seeds of darkness. This is President Trump's legacy. What is yours? It's probably different. It might have something to do with your own business. Maybe it has something to do with work you do in your community. Or, I don't know, family history that you pass down to your children and grandchildren. Whatever your legacy is, Donald Trump told us years ago, his was to leave a better, safer, not just America, but world. And this doesn't happen overnight. You don't stop 47 years of terror in Iran and make things overnight hunky-dory. There's grace involved. If it took 47 years to become so destitute, so despondent, so dark, so unfree, why do we think it's going to take a New York second to fix it? Because it's not. Gas prices are going to go up. Okay. We've been there before. President Trump reached out to NATO and he said to NATO, look, here's the deal, guys. Everybody here has to patrol the strait. Everybody here has to send some kind of heavy machinery to the Strait of Hormuz because we need those shipments of oil to continue. And the United States and Israel, though we opened up the door to the possibility of the Iranian people taking back their lives, it is now time for you to step up to the plate. We are tired of being your artillery. We're tired of coming in with all of the ingredients to help you rebuild. It's time to pay your fair share. That's something that the Democrats know an awful lot about when they preach it to us. So much is on the line. But listen to the cries of joy, whether it be in Iran, or be in Venezuela, or be anywhere where actual liberty hasn't been realized in generations. What are we fighting for? We're fighting for the single most important piece of legislation to get across the finish line. The one bill that would guarantee only Americans, only citizens, people either born in this country or people who've been naturalized, because there is a process. You and only you get to vote. And if your Congress is either too inept, too complicit, complacent, corrupt, or unable and unwilling to get it across the finish line, you get to see what the problem is. Grace. It is not easy. I feel it too. I want to see people in handcuffs. I want to see Dr. Fauci literally with his hands behind his back wearing an orange jumpsuit. Do I know if those days will ever come? I don't. I don't know, but I guarantee you people are paying attention. Don't want to mess with a president who has illustrated to the entire world, and everyone is watching, the state-of-the-art, outrageous might of the American military. We don't want to use it. We want peace. But Donald Trump has showed the world there is strength. Peace. Through. Weekend, his name was Donald Trump, and he answered, and they're like, hello, Mr. President. Hello, we seen how Nicolas Maduro went down, and the Ayatollah Khamenei, and the Ayatollah Jr. ain't looking so good. Maybe, I don't know, we could meet a little bit. Wanna? Oh boy. Changing the world, ladies and gentlemen. Give it grace. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All righty there. I'm not sure why this was freezing up. I mean, this is live streaming from Rumble, so I don't know. Maybe that's why Brock is in there. But let's scoot on up here and see what's going on.
Let's hear the Try Water app. the country of Iran. About that, not even funny. For every Democrat out there. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program, ladies and gentlemen. So for every Democrat out there, every person on the media, every member of Congress who says the Republicans have no plan, there's no plan with this war, that it's so planned, it's not even funny. There are contingencies to not bomb the oil distribution, the area over there at Cargo Island. We're going to talk about that more. If this was a military strike, literally meant to obliterate and remove from the map the country of Iran, the United States military could do that. What's happening is extraordinarily strategic. And Jesse Waters on Friday night did a great job. I grabbed some of it. Asked Brock to edit some of it down for you, because you don't hear in the media what's really going on. You do not hear the triumphant military success of men and women having pronouns and LGBT rainbow bullcrap taken out of their military training, who are left alone to actually train, to focus, to go in and do what they did, and to have lost what? Fewer than a dozen American servicemen and women. That doesn't mean each of those lives isn't relevant. But let's be serious. I want you to hear about Cuba and their hope. The president there is like, can I have a golden parachute to get the hell out of the way, and you guys can figure out this country? Cuba's president doesn't want to die. The regime announces they're in talks with the president. We knew it was only a matter of time before the Cuban regime decided to chat. It looks like the time to talk is now. The island's communist ruler, Miguel Diaz-Canel, just announced that his regime has opened negotiations with the Trump administration. Sure, kind of sounds a little routine, right? I mean, this happens all the time. Diplomacy, no. The timing really hard to ignore. In just the past few months, President Trump has captured Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, put him in U.S. custody. The Iranian regime lost its supreme leader and a couple replacements during the war with Iran. I think probably they've all been wiped out. So if you're a communist government that has spent decades shaking its fist at America, that kind of track record kind of tends to focus the mind, which may explain why Havana suddenly wants to have a bit of a chit-chat. So here's how the news first broke. Rumors started spreading that talks were on the table when a significant national statement was announced. The secretary of the Communist Party announced a speech to the nation over the weekend at 7:30. And then the big announcement came, Cuba's leader telling his people that he's entering into talks with the Trump administration. So for a government that spent decades blaming the U.S. for nearly every problem inside Cuba, this is a remarkable admission. Hi, Houston, we need help, and we're ready to make a deal. Here is how Anonymous from Deep Fake Quotes talks about the importance of this idea. The communism is being brought to its knees.
For 67 years, Cuba has been frozen in time under communism. That may be about to change. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel just confirmed on national television that his government is now in direct talks with the United States to resolve decades of tensions. Not out of goodwill, but out of desperation. The Trump administration's oil blockade severed Venezuela's energy lifeline to the island, plunging Cuba into blackouts, shortages, and economic collapse. President Trump says it plainly. Cuba is down to fumes and eager to make a deal. None of this is by accident. It is by design. Some call it the Trump Doctrine or the Don Roe Doctrine, a bold evolution of the original Monroe Doctrine. Its objective is simple: ensuring American control over the Western Hemisphere's destiny by confronting drug trafficking, unchecked migration, and foreign encroachments from powers like China and Russia. Threats in the region, like the narco state of Venezuela, have been neutralized, and with the cooperation of Venezuela's new leadership, oil shipments to Cuba have been cut off, forcing the communist regime to the negotiating table. What is now being discussed is something remarkable: a friendly takeover, economic liberalization, investments from the Cuban diaspora, the millions of Cubans and their descendants who fled the island decades ago, preferential trade agreements, joint security partnerships, and phased reforms designed to transition Cuba away from communism without descending into chaos. Also reportedly being discussed, soft landings for elites and sector-specific property restitution to stabilize the transition. If this happens, and it appears it is, it will be a demonstration of maximum pressure in action. No war, just results. Communism's grip on the island is fracturing. Freedom could soon reach 11 million Cubans living just 90 miles from the United States, potentially ushering in a new era of cooperation between two nations that were once bitter enemies. My friends, we are all anonymous, and if all of this comes to fruition, the coming days and weeks may very well redefine history.
Amen. The reason why I say have grace, you're watching history. You're not some bystander. You're deeply plugged into this. You are watching the liberation of the world. You are. You have a front row seat. Why does Cuba the leadership there want to talk now? Well, they want to have a long, happy life, right? With President Trump suddenly showing the world he's willing to confront hostile regimes head on. Sketchy leaders are paying attention. And if Cuba's leadership is now looking for a conversation with the Trump administration, it's probably because they don't want to find out what'll happen if they don't. Right? No, Mr. President. See, none of this is possible if President Trump doesn't have that Rose Garden April Liberty Day of Liberty, like, this is it, Liberation Day. We're charging tariffs. Everybody's going to get charged. You've been ripping off America. The left howled. The deep state uniparty swamp creatures howled. Why? President Trump was giving himself all the cards he needed, the leverage to say, if you don't do what I say, you're going to feel what peace through strength is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, remember on Friday, President Trump put out a truth that we covered. Wait until you see what happens today. Wait until you see what goes down today. What was it? We got it. And it was outstanding military success that the media haven't told you about. I will next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right. Well, I can't wait for that. That'll be delivered in our daily news wrap-up. Let me click over here on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I will add this video into my daily news wrap-up. So come back in a little while and watch that. But right now I want to share some information with you from Rumble Wallet. See what they have to say.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever.
Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button, and when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference.
Designed for patriots who stand tall, this cap captures the enduring spirit of liberty. The Liberty Bell stands proud this isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability.
Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.
All right, there we have it. Okay, I have copied the live chat into a comment because, as we all know, when this live stream is over, the chat just kind of disappears into hyperspace. So now it's a permanent part of this video. All right, and let me remind you folks that these videos that I share with you are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. I've got the links to the videos in the description box, along with the links to the producers who created these videos. Now, these videos that I share with you are videos that I have posted here on Murtech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Right here's the video from Wendy Bell that I shared with you, and all these others. So please come here. Right here's the video from Anthony Brian Logan. I'd like to share all of them with you, but unfortunately I don't have the time. I have picked out a few select videos here. I've got 23 videos on my list, about 10, 11 hours of great information. Right here's the video from Wendy Bell Radio, Dan Bongino. Then we've got some information about Tucker Carlson. I don't know what's going on with him. From McWater's Effect. Also, Dr. Steve Turley, GOP senators just found a way to get the SAVE Act passed. Okay, well, we'll see if that happens. Some more information from Benny Johnson. It's happening. Cuba hit with nationwide blackout. Also from Black Conservative Perspective, We the People News, On the Fringe, Barry Cunningham, and some more information from On the Fringe. Great stuff here, folks. So, but go ahead and take a break right now. Go grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or maybe a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. Let me get this set up in Rumble Studios so we can get this going. Great information. Please don't miss out on it. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here with me. Hopefully, I will get to see you again later, and may God bless.